Good morning, everyone. Today we'll be looking at the fourth chapter of the module second, that is object based and unified storage. Before looking into what is object based storage, what is its importance, we will have an overview. As we already know that much of the data is in the form of the unstructured. Hope if you remember unstructured data where the data is not in a proper format. When I say a proper format, that means it is not in terms of the rows and the columns, right? So here 90% of the data is almost an unstructured data. So what happens is whenever the data is unstructured, then the system is going to become inefficient. Though we have come across the storage area network, we have come across direct attached storage. Even we have seen the what is that network attached storage. When the data is in the unstructured format, it is always the system becomes inefficient, right? Why? Because it becomes inefficient is a large volume of the data is being there will be a lot of the overhead to access the data, right? So for that purpose, as it was creating a overhead even on the network attached storage devices, so these challenges had to be met. So they came up with a very what you say a structured sorry, I can say that a very smart approach, so that we can store this unstructured data and we can get that one, right? Usually if you people remember, in the database we are having a term called as a metadata, so where through which we are going to access that one. The same way itself, the another approach called as object based approach, they have come it was introduced, so that we can store the data or we can retrieve the data in a very efficient manner. When I say efficiency, then the overhead should be reduced, the traffic should be reduced, right? And the availability of the data also should be available for each and every user. So in this object based storage, they are storing the file in the data, right? Sorry, they are storing this file in terms of the object, that is either in the flat address based, so that it will be either based on the content or it will be based on the attributes. Hope you might be knowing what is an attribute, right? In the data structures you have come across. The next one, we have seen that when we are trying to organize these data, especially in the object based storage, what all the data we are trying to organize, it can be your movies, it can be your office document, it can be any graphics, right? And this object based storage is providing a scalable, self managed, protected, and the shared storage option, right? So we'll see that diagram how it is represented. Now you can check this one is this diagram is for your hierarchical file system organization, and this is your flat address, right? You can check here from the files, that is nodes you have been having, then these are again the sub files, right? And using these files that are being stored, you are going to access this one, right? Each and everything, it is always stored in terms of the directories, the files, and from each and every of these directories, whatever it is been there, it is going to store the data or retrieve the data to the users. And remember, for all this one we have to follow the path, right? When I say the path, it is a command line arguments that you have been giving, that was used in the previous MS DOS and all. Now you don't provide any path, you directly go put the search with the file name and you are getting the what is that the information or the data stored on your database. Now this one you can check in your object based how you are going to store. You have the object IDs being created, the data within the disk is created in terms of the object, right? In terms of the object, and each and every object, how it is been again classified, the each and every object is having a object ID, what data is been there, what are its attributes, and the metadata related to this particular object is being stored, right? And please remember, this object ID is unique for each and every what you say, the object is stored in the database. Now, how these object IDs are being generated? These object IDs are being generated using the hash algorithms and all right. So this is how the data is being stored. Based on the particular object, you are able to retrieve that one. Now, when I say the attributes for the data, it can be the size of the what is that the file, or it can be in terms of the ownership, it can be in terms of the date. Size is in terms of kb, mb, or gb. It can be the data. Date is when you have been created the file, when you have been changed that one, and who is the owner, have you been protected the file, is it password protected, right? So these are all the attributes of this file. The data is the data associated with the particular file what is being stored, and the metadata. You are going to search one using one keyword and try to retrieve this file. So this is how the data is being stored in the object based using the flat address space, right? So you can check that each and every. So whenever you want to retrieve, you are using only these object IDs, right? So using these object IDs, the object which is again magnified, you can check the magnified data. It is having object ID, attributes, metadata, and the data, right? Moving on to the next one. Now you can check this, how the what you say, the architecture is being based, how the files are being accessed, how it is going to work. Now this is one is a block level access. Hope if you remember, in your fiber channel storage area network, we are using the block level storage, where the data is in terms of the block and you are accessing that one. When you take the ISCSI and all, or you can take the network attached storage, the access of the file or the request of the file is in terms of the files, right? So whenever it has been there, the client is requesting in terms of the files. The file request is again converted to the block. The blocks have been fed back to the user in terms of the files, right? So this is how it is being done. Now you can check that how this object level access is going to provide uh, uh, the what you say, the files to the users. From the application layer, you can check both the application layers are being having, this is your block level access and this is your object level access, right? Here we have the what you say, the application layer, both the sides. So first I'll discuss about this block level access. You have a system call interface, right? And this one we have a file system user component and file system storage. They have been divided into the two types. Here we will be having, one is user component and the another one is the storage component. From this storage, it is being provided to the block interface. So it is directly getting the block input and output and accessing the storage. Alright. So the user is going to give the command from the storage. The commands are being converted into the block interface and you are accessing the storages. Alright. Now if you check at the object level access, how it is being done, we are having the system call that is used from the application. The file system user component is been there, and we have been having this object based storage interface. As you have been having the storage interface here in the block level, that is been missing, and directly we are having this what do you say, the based storage interface. And then we are directly connecting it to the storage component, from where we are accessing the data again, right? This whatever the storage was there at the user level, that is being put at the object level, right? So this is able to communicate at the faster rate instead of leading to the overheads. So that is being reduced and that is being put at the storage level, right? So this is how the data, or I can say the files are being what do you say, the received and being accessed using the object based storage. So this is the architecture. So this and one more thing I wanted to say is why this architecture is important for us, right? This is going to define the overall working of the system, right? So this is going to say that when I provide an input, what will be the next stage and how it is going to behave. so that each and every stage what it is been performing you can check using these arrow marks. All right. Hope if you remember in your automata theory you have been studied with the particular stage moving from one stage to the another stage. Now for example, if you give an input, so this is first stage, then you have been moving back to the second stage, and the third one is the output stage, that is the last third stage. You are going to put it as a double mark and double rounds, and then you say that is final stage, right? Then when you provide the from the first stage to the second stage, what is the input being provided, right? So once this input is being given, it is moving to the second stage. The same way here from the application layer, what is the input you give it so that it is going to reach this system call interface, right? So now if I take this is the first stage and this is the second one, right? Now what are those parameters you have been passing so that you are going to go through the file system user component? So this is acting as your third, and then it is your fourth, then it is fifth. So this is how your automata theory application is being used to design these system calls. Okay, please whenever you are coming up with the projects and all, please make sure the architecture is important, because it is going to define that how the operations are being carried out, what will be the parameters passing from one stage to the next stage. Moving on to the next one. Now if you see in this diagram, okay, so before that, okay, so you can see what are the key components. So the key components, totally there are three key components where we are having OSD nodes, right? Then we have the internal network, and the third one is the storage. Now you can check here, we are having these all OSD nodes, the internal network, and this is the storage. These all together, the storage, internal network, and OSD is been comprising, that is your object based storage system, right? Now when I say this nodes, it can be your server that is having the operating system which is going to retrieve, or it is going to store, or it is going to manage all the data. When I say the network, from node to another node, so connectivity is being established, and in this storage we are using all the disk to store the data in terms of the objects, right? So that is going to help for the easy access of the data. Now you can check that how the data is being stored in the object based storage, right? Now you can check here how the data is being stored and how it is being accessed. First, the application server is going to send a file to this object based storage, right? Object based storage, and this is being received at this OSD node. Now you can check here, we have the storage service, we have the meta service. Now the second command, what it is going to do is, OSD node is going to divide the file into two parts. One will be the user data and the another one will be the metadata. So given the request, it is going to divide in terms of the meta and the user data. So once the user data is being divided and metadata is divided, it is going to generate the object ID. So please remember, it is going to generate the object ID for the user data. And then what it is going to do is, it is going to store that metadata using the object ID in this in this metadata service. Having the object ID and the meta service both are being stored, and here the data is being fetched. And using this one, the whatever the user is going to store that data, it is going to take up that data, and it is going to give back the, what do you say, the acknowledgement to the server that the data is being stored, right? So this is overall the completion of the storage of the data. So what it does, it is going to send the file. Please remember, the data is being divided into the metadata and the user data, and for that user data the object ID is being created, and that using that object ID that is being created in this metadata service, and this storage, it is going to allocate a particular storage right? To which of these disk it has to be stored, and then from this storage it is going to send back an acknowledgement that yes, the data is being stored in these physical devices. Now, how are we retrieving this object? That means when you see in your system, the various files will be arranged and you try to retrieve the data. So first, application server is going to request a file from this object storage database. And the second one, what it is going to do is it is going to identify, right, the service, metadata service, and it is going to identify what is the object ID. Once the object ID is identified from the meta service, it is going to send it to the application server, right? Again, it is going to send back to the application servers. That meta service data is being sent to the application server. From there, again, the object ID is being retrieved. All right, based on that object ID, it is going to fetch the data from this storage devices, and then the file is sent back to the application server. So simple, requesting the data, it is going to check what is the metadata it is being requesting, whether the data is available or no, or the object ID is created. If that object ID is being created, it is asking the application server to send the object ID. Then it is going to fetch that one, and then the data is being sent back to the application server, right? So this is going to help for the easy retrieval of the data, so that the data whichever is almost in an unstructured form is being stored in the structured form. Now, when I'm saying this object based storage, so what are the benefits of this one? The first one, it is providing the security and the reliability. As I said, each and every data that you are storing has got a particular object ID, and this object ID is being generated using the algorithms, or I can say hash algorithms. So it is going to help in terms of integrity and the authentication. The second one is a platform independent, right? Please remember, when they say platform independent, then it is able to what you say, retrieve the data from the different operating systems, right? There is no restriction that only particular operating system has to be used. If you check some systems and all, they have been having the inbuilt operating system. If in turn you try to install any other operating system, the devices will not be supporting. So that becomes a platform in what is that, dependency. For example, if you take your mobiles and all, they are all platform dependency, right? Particular iOS, if you take it, if you try to install any other operating system such as Redmi and all, then it is not going to take, right? But they all have the Android operating system. In case you try to install the Microsoft operating system, then it is not going to support. So that is the platform dependency. Platform independency, it's running on the any type of the operating system. Then the scalability, where you can what do you say, it is independent, it can be scaled in terms of the number of the nodes and also the storage devices. And also it is we are able to manage that one, where we can replicate the objects, we can manage the objects, and you can even use these management capabilities, so that it is going to what do you say, route the data automatically, right? So one of the example that he has been taken is a cloud based storage, where you can check this one they are using here, right? This object based storage, right? In if you check in your cloud storages and all, you are just given a file name having the different attributes. If you go and check in the attributes of that file, the size, the date, who has been created that one, whether you can give the access to the files and all is being maintained, right? Now you can check that from whichever sources you can transfer the information. It can be from your laptop, your iPads, or your what is that, mobiles, and from anywhere you can transfer. And also you can access from the different servers also, right? Then moving on to the next one is unified storage. What does this unified storage mean, right? As we have seen that what I can say is having so much of the data or the different technologies, right? We are accessing the files in terms of the block, in terms of the files, in terms of the objects. But all this has to be supported using the different protocols. Please do remember that one. So whenever I'm trying to have these protocols to be supported, then I need to make sure it is always one single platform, right? So that any form of the information is being exchanged, it should not affect any other components. Now, for example, if I have to say is, you are using a laptop, you are connecting your mobile devices, you are sharing the data. So there is no, what you say, it is a unified platform. It is not that you have to install a different protocols, you have to change the operating system. It's nothing like that, right? So we are here in the storage area network, we have to make sure that whenever I try to share the information, it is to support all the protocols, right? All the types of the devices, and at that same time it should not what do you say lead to much of the budgets, especially in terms of the maintenance, in terms of the overhead, whatever the traffic is being exchanged. So that all it should be minimized, and also at that same time it should be efficient for the user. Now you can check in the components of the unified storage. You have been having this storage controller. You have NSA head. You have this OSD head, and finally the storages. Now you can check here. We have been combining the various protocols. From this one particular, we have ISCSI, we have FC, and we have FCOE, right? Fiber channel over the Ethernet. Fiber channel we are having the internet using the small computer system interface. We are using this what is that network file system. We are using the common internet file system. Then we are using this API and the SOAP protocols. From each and every of the systems or the servers, you can check the different type of the data is being available. Now, when I say that these all should be together able to store the data. Now, when I say this one, then this particular architecture should be feasible to come along with the unified storage. So it shouldn't say that chalo it is a block request, so I am not able to store the data. No, it shouldn't be that one. So here you can check it is in terms of the file request. So network attached head is been converting that one, and here is all in terms of the object request, and this object storage device is going to convert that into the block. Now you can check here all the type of the data is being there. Different servers all together are being combined into one storage itself, having different protocols, having different components. This unified storage is going to help the user to exchange the data. Now, whatever the block request is coming, directly it is being moved to the storage controller, and the data is being stored on this devices. Now, the data that you are getting in terms of the file, right? The file request using this NSA head is converted into the block IO, and this block, as usual, is transferred to the storage controller, and the data is being stored on these devices. In case the request is being there for any file, so what the storage controller is going to do is he takes this file, that is a block request, block IO given to NSA head, and this NSA head is going to convert this block input output into a file request. And these NFS and CIFS algorithms or the protocols are giving back the data in terms of the files. Now you can check even in this web application services, we are having the, what is that, REST, that is representational state transfer protocol, and simple object access protocol, that is a SOAP, simple object access protocol. So the data whatever is being there in terms of the object request, OSD node is going to convert into the block IO, and the data is again stored in these storage devices. Please remember each and every time the different types of the data. So the organizations can't install all these what you say the infrastructure separately, then automatically the maintenance is going to increase. For that purpose they are using this unified storage system, so that it is going to help them to exchange any sort of the data being used. All right, so using the various protocols, Please remember, when I have a different protocols, then what is that? So it is only just this interface which is going to help to convert the data from one form to the another form. The file is been there, it has to be converted to the block. The object is been there, it has to be converted to the block. So for that purpose, the architectures, the components, the protocols are being used, right? So this is all about the, what you say, the storage and networking technologies, right? So with this one, your second module completes.